Daylight come and me want go home. Day-o, day-o. Daylight come and we're live on YouTube. Yeah, hey everybody who is not watching yet. It is the Ideal Comics guys, and we are here with another amazing IC Jam where we're going to talk all kinds of shop for the next hour. We are live, and then it's hour 2. We're exclusive patrons. So if you really dig what we have to do, follow us to patreon.com/ideal_comics and sign up for as little as $1, and you too can check out the hour 2 where we are going deep behind the curtain to check out Ideal Comics history unrevealed. So we're gonna lure people in with the secrets of secrets.
I like it. Secrets.
The promise of secrets.
Tell us.
No more on that. Rico, what you working on today, man?
It's a secret.
Perfect.
Well, no, I just finished up. Actually, I totally encouraged Maya to ink a few pages of serial killer.
Oh yeah, sweet.
Yeah, she's totally into it.
So Rico, tell us a little bit about Bob.
Bob the serial killer is don't worry, we're not going to do anything explicit. You know, if you're an Ideal Comic anyway, you have to pay us money for that.
That is true. That is a true statement.
Yes. Bob the serial killer is a balloon, and he is a rather warped balloon who carries around a needle to pop other balloons in murderous rampages. You know, yeah. So it was my daughter's idea, sort of. You know, she drew like this character. Yeah, all right. I'm going to show you guys her original drawing. Her original drawing looks like this. And she drew this in her ELA class in school. I took one look at it.
ELA?
English.
Oh, okay.
English language arts or something.
Ah, okay. Yeah. I got you.
But she drew this. You know, I took one look at it, and there's just something about this picture that just instantly made me smile. You know, and but from what I looked like, from what I looked at it, I'm like saying, I'm looking at a killer. You know, and so that's a killer. That's the whole premise. A nice, quick little comic that we can do, about a murderous balloon. So great, and then hopefully
psycho killer. Qu'est-ce que si?
Yes.
Better.
Be prepared for lots of carnage.
Balloon carnage, though. Reminds me of that old cartoon. I'm the weeping cushion man, the terror of Balloony Land. You guys remember that? Or is that just me? Just nobody knows what I'm talking about. Nobody knows what I'm talking about? It's a terrifying balloon about a murderous pincushion man. Terrifying cartoon.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
Very much.
I'm going to pop out the thing so we can see if anyone's in the chat ever.
I'm watching. So I guess this is balloon culture's answer.
How is the audio, Barry? Because our regular microphone is not here. You have a headphone you can listen to?
Really?
You want to disappear in the other room?
Really echo.
Yeah, we are definitely going to be echoing. There's no way around that. Will Barry hear what we have to say?
Why am I asking you all this?
Well, I don't know.
Stay tuned for
the very next episode.
Okay.
Very man.
Very man.
Whoa, man.
Whoa, Barry.
Very. Very man.
So very, it's scary.
Well, I have news.
You can hear me and not him?
Yeah.
Okay. Why don't you plug the mic in? And then what we would do is then you plug the mic in, and I will mute myself, and we'll use your microphone for the thing. Does that work?
That works.
Okay.
So let's see.
So.
Dainty. Oh, okay.
For those of
If you
you who
want.
may be watching in the chat, if you are live with us, feel free to bombard us with any inappropriate questions, and we will make sure to ignore them or answer them in the most embarrassing way possible. We leave that to you to decide.
Yes,
Okay,
this is my real hair.
Okay, we need to figure out.
That's
if-
right. Okay,
if
here we
this-
go.
if this
I
actually
am-
works.
Rico is not.
All right, well, we were back then.
Yeah, we're getting,
All right,
I'm
yeah,
getting
yeah.
audio from it, but Rico's, we're just staring down at the tablet here. We gotta get some,
Well,
that looks
then-
fun.
There looks like some green dots going on.
Yeah, the green dots are showing up here for sure.
Oh, Barry, can you hear me now?
Barry, can you hear us now?
Barry, can you hear us
Uh,
now? Maryland. Barry
This is
Land.
the most awesome form of
Yes.
practically joking ever.
Yes. How?
It does say, do you know you're muted? Yes, Google, I'm aware. That was the entire point of this venture.
Yes. Barry, can you hear us now?
Barry, can you hear us now?
Can you?
You know,
Is it better?
Barry doesn't like this sound.
I was waiting for you to serenade me some more, damn it.
So it works.
That's a lot better.
It's working better. Okay.
That's a lot better.
Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide is on your side.
Nationwide, nationwide.
Okay, let's start talking some serious business here. 'Cause this
Rico sounds hideous.
Wait a minute though.
Whoa.
It's getting my camera though. What the heck is going on here?
Tune in next time.
It's picking up my camera, which
Yeah,
is
it's picking up the video.
which is it's got a that's sort of weird. It's weird.
We want to have it on you, on Barry, or turn it around so we can look at you. Who's going to do more talking, more interesting talking?
I like how you changed that to interesting.
Well, I always do more talking because that's sort of my idiom.
There you go.
It
There's
doesn't make
Barry.
it interesting.
Hi Barry.
Hello, Rico.
Hello, human. So shall we focus on Barry or
I think we should focus on.
Barry's like, if I'm on camera, I need a ball cap.
Yeah, because I don't want to blind people, honestly. There's quite the gleam come
I
off
think
this
there is
ball.
a legitimate threat to that possibility.
Yeah.
I think you're onto something, dude.
nation?
Trust me, I've used this weapon to my advantage.
What's that?
The gleam.
Oh, the gleam.
Yeah, to keep the hotties at bay.
Well, yeah. That's it.
Because otherwise,
You know?
you'd be.
It's like you've seen
Well,
Doctor,
yeah, it's like
you've seen Doctor Strangelove, right?
Oh yeah. Stop fighting! This is a war room.
It's so horrible. Those women are after our fluids,
nothing.
precious fluids of life.
All right.
And they are.
So, Reese, what are we talking about today?
Well, on the first outlets, we got pages.
Yeah.
You got a chance to work on page 9, 10, 9, 9.
Not yet. How close are we? Are you like ahead of me again?
Page 7.
Rico, like the great. What's that Jesus? Who's the guy's name?
Gracie.
Grace. All right, that's
He's just like, I thought you said the Jesus dude. I mean, do you mean Jesus?
No, the other Jesus guy, Paul. God damn it. All right. So like the Gracie boy,
Yes.
like he said, Rico,
Yes.
Barry's always ahead of you.
Whoa. You're always like 2 moves ahead.
2 moves.
Oh man, that's harsh. That's harsh.
I know. Hey, I'm not the one that said it. The Gracie Jitsu dude did it.
Well, you know,
I mean,
speaking.
I don't know.
You're paraphrasing.
I think it's very real
I am
possibility.
completely slightly, if by paraphrasing me lying out my hand. Yeah.
So have you done 7 yet?
Which one's it?
It's the one with
The last
Francis
one. The last one I gave.
yelling at his coworkers
Yes.
about how terrible heroes are.
Yes. And they slams the table and away they go.
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay. Then I'm ahead of you. But
Damn it!
I'm still going to work
I
on
don't-
10. As a matter of fact,
Actually, yeah,
I was
I'm
planning-
supposed to be. I'm actually. You're supposed to be there.
As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to start on it.
I don't
Right.
need to take that to heart. Okay,
Oh.
I don't need to. I can.
I like G.
God.
Bam, slam. Yay.
I'm gonna share the link on our Facebook too. So,
Okay,
because it's not out there yet.
share the link. I see Reese. I see
Yeah.
Barry.
I see Rico.
I see Barry's art. And I have
So we've got
incognito.
incognito here,
I
hidden,
am-
hidden from
I
the
see
wilds
that.
of the internet.
What is-
The great
Throw some
mystifying web.
glue.
Whoa.
So it is. I threw glue at you and Gino to the next one. That's what. Jeez.
What? What?
Uh,
What?
I don't know.
Is that what Rico?
What's that? Throwing glue? Throwing it? You have no idea. But then again, if you have to ask.
I obviously I do. Obviously.
You'll never know. I won't sing the rest of that song. Okay, so
I'm stroking.
first I will start with a stick man. And then I will end
Do
with
we
a
need
stick
is the camera on Rico for this stick man?
No,
I see an R.
I'm actually gonna move it over from Barry's beautiful face to
Thank you.
the pad.
I mean, the fans will cry, and there will be no
Yes,
more
they will.
panties being thrown. But you know, we'll make it through.
No, but yeah, it'll be okay.
Yeah, we'll manage.
I can't believe I totally encouraged her to ink those
Next
papers.
move is just the
Yes.
lats.
That's right. Okay, so I think I'm going to point it this way and point it downward so that they can see my nonsense.
There they go. There's crying already.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, we want Barry.
That's what it is.
Well, nobody in the chat has said anything yet. And I do believe there was at least one viewer who was tuned in.
There was.
So
So,
I'm tuned in. Reese is tuned
well, I'm tuned in as the
in. As a host.
So I don't know if it counts me as a viewer.
So it's still a mystery.
So it's still a mystery.
So we either have 2 viewers or 1 viewer.
Exactly.
We're on to you.
Yeah, but whoever it is has not deigned, they seem just to be on, has not deigned to ask us any questions or to challenge us in any way
Challenge us.
over our bullshit. And so I would
Which is
encourage,
plentiful.
yeah, there's quite a bit. We're all up for asking questions about that.
Oh
too.
God, what's Rico typing into the chat?
I am sharing this on Facebook.
That's even worse.
Hopefully he's not putting anything in the chat that throws off our numbers.
It does.
Yeah, I can.
It does.
So,
But that's okay.
All right, so
we're working on courses. Hey, let's go take a look over here at Barry. Barry, what are you working on there for us?
hi, Reese.
Yeah, you're not on camera.
I know.
Your art is on
incredible.
camera.
That was
Yeah.
So I am working on a piece that I want to do for a while. I've had in my mind. It is expositioner looking over an outcropping of I'm gonna make it like whatever. It's an eagle. It's an eagle. It's a goddamn American eagle.
Whoa.
Expositioner is a freaking patriotic
He's a patriot and a veteran.
and a veteran.
Yes.
And a veteran.
He's a
People.
veteran.
So we have that. So I'm just kind of rounding off the positioning some lower buildings below him, and then I have a lot of the old city. As you can see, I like the angle I have working so far. I like the far off highlights.
Well, actually, that brings up a really interesting idea. Let's go ahead right now, while he's working on that, something that we've needed to do for a while.
True.
We need to take a look at a topographical map, or at least a map, and tell us where Fremont is going to be, because one of our perks.
So you notice this is a big ass city.
Actually, hang on just a second. I got
Not just a big city, mind you.
No,
It's a big
the ass on it.
Yeah,
is big.
Yeah,
There's
that's right.
an ass on this.
This city's got some ass on it.
I mean, come on. I think if I speak for all of us when I say
Yes, there were.
the best cities in the world are the ones with the good ass on.
That's right. That's right.
I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna say what's on my mind right
So
now.
whenever Barry goes to visit a new town, he's just like, BTB.
Yeah.
Bring that booty.
Yeah, well, where at?
Yeah, yeah. That's my bring that booty.
You know.
song.
Okay.
That's why I bring that
Oh,
up.
Reese is blushing, but.
Oh, am I in fact blushing? I might be.
Yeah.
I
I
think
feel a
you're
little,
blushing.
I feel a little flushed.
But who can tell?
It's hard to tell, yeah. The ruddy complexion hides it. Like, are you just always embarrassed? No, I'm always angry. Thanks for asking.
Why, Reese, you're extra ruddy today.
All right. Okay.
Well, well, what was I gonna say? I don't know, something about Chewbacca. But, hey, we got a like,
Oh, yeah?
aside from my like.
Was it your like?
I
beat me to it.
Yeah, I totally.
It was not me, because I was born about the number.
We're at 67% like
Cool. That's awesome.
ratios. Yeah.
So, so I'm gonna go ahead, load up here, give you a second. I'm gonna look up maps.google.com. We're gonna, I tell you,
We're about to put some.
Google has you guys heard about their old slogan, right? Their original slogan was
Make money is not.
no, their slogan was "Don't be evil." That was their motto as a company, was "Don't be evil." Have you heard about their new slogan?
No.
What old slogan?
I heard that joke too, jerk.
I say it all the time.
Yeah, I like it.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
So,
Good
but we are going to go ahead and zoom out.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, I'm going to switch the map here.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and switch to screen share. To share.
Or not to share.
That is a question. Whether it is nobler and stuff with the slings and arrows.
Come on, right there.
That's outrageous.
That's actually, I find that part of the line more important than the to be or not to be.
Mhm.
Because stuff with things narrow. That's essentially putting what, the justice of life is and can you endure. That's the meat.
Outrageous fortune.
Right. Look at Rico.
Boom. Okay.
Make me fall in love with you all over.
Okay, so here we go. I got to
Hearts
zoom.
for eyes.
I'm going to zoom way out from our little hometown to a new part of the world.
A whole new world.
Something like that. Okay. And
Sorry.
I wish this thing had a topographical section.
I'm
Topographical.
bringing down and chips and.
Topographical.
But we're going to have to settle instead for a thing. So
A thing of
here
that.
is, you guys see, here is Colorado,
I
right?
can't see shit.
But when we're
Well, so you're not
way
looking.
up here,
It's broadcasting, I'm sure of that.
it's
It is
crystal
broadcast, I'm not
clear.
watching, sorry. Let me watch. Okay, I'll stop. Sorry. My fault. It's on Rico.
Whole new
So Rico, if you want
world.
to switch to there, can you see the screen? for me?
There is the.
What's
All
that?
right, so
So
people,
here
this
is
is how the
the
attack
Denver
on
Metro,
Denver will go.
right?
Reese, you coming from the south.
I see
Rico,
it.
you coming from the south. Back up Reese, because Reese probably got killed right away.
I'll take Centennial. And then,
I
first of
like
all,
it.
I think
Right.
I think we should anything go wrong, let's regroup at the Pawnee National Grassland.
That's the target, right?
Okay. So seriously though,
Okay.
my cursor is on. I'm not just showing it here. I'm screening up. But Denver, of course, Fremont City is supposed to be nestled into the foot of the mountains, right? And extending a little bit on the prairie where, in the flat area. So here's Colorado Springs down here, right?
Yeah.
And it's right
What is this Colorado Springs?
right up against the mountain ridge right there. It's like Pikes Peak Celtic Festival, which is happening this Saturday. I'm not going to be there, but good luck to all of you guys who are there.
Just the
And
Celts.
throw far, you throwers that are going to be there. Colorado Springs is right on the foot of it. And then if you look up here, right, we have Centennial, Lakewood, Denver, all that stuff. Castle Rock, where my pops used to live.
You guys have a Castle Rock too? We have a Castle Rock in Washington.
Oh, cool.
It's probably like 50 more minutes.
It's probably the same one.
Yeah. It is. I was here by teleportation of Castle Rock.
A whole new world.
Oh my God, Luther.
Don't you dare close your
Can I be Vanessa Williams in this?
Can you be what?
The duet, isn't that Luther Vandross and?
I don't remember.
But they did a version. That's not, they didn't do the, they did a cut. That's the one that plays under the credits.
Right.
There
That's one
once
of
was
those
a song
important
that played under the credits that went with the movie, and this is not that song. Okay, so here's a question I've got for you guys, right?
What's that?
Here is, because I'm trying to look at the map to figure out where we want to put Fremont, so we can start building our maps,
Lettuce?
right?
Okay,
Here's
so
Denver.
here's what happens. When John Elway retired, the cries and the sorrows were so plentiful in real Denver,
But not in Oakland.
but not in Oakland, that poor old Denver
They all-
washed away by all the cries and sorrows.
They all said, good
And they all
riddance,
said
you bastard. I mean,
what he said. And then they said something else, which was, oh God, we're all drowning, and look at Denver washing away. And then Fremont, this view, all right, sorry, eating time is over. So where you want to put, we're trying to figure out where Fremont should go.
So we can start looking at how we want to
So-
play the city out.
so
maps, but this is one thing we haven't done yet.
Here's the question, did Fremont bomb the shit out of the Rockies to make their own spots? Well,
Okay.
hey, you're sharing
Story.
shit that we shouldn't share.
Sorry.
You're doing it again.
The story of Fremont, right, is that it was a frontier mining community, right, that was down in the valley,
mhm.
and that it was originally abandoned after a massive crime happened there.
What crime was that? Like the second, like was it like the one with the old Pentagon and things disappeared from life?
Yeah, and that's what that.
That's what I'm saying.
And exactly.
Okay.
And then it was later repopulated and rebuilt by prostitutes who built.
As most great cities are.
But actually, they ran the town as a business because
So there was a city, there was a brothel city.
Yes. And actually in Fremont, gambling is still legal in one quarter of town. It's got a fourth quarter. I mean, like a red light.
I mean,
that's
a
like,
lot of town.
no, but I mean, like it actually is it's like old Sugarville in New Orleans, where it's like protected by law. This is part of the city's heritage. So,
You are
But yeah.
forward-thinking man.
well, I just not thinking.
I know.
I'm not making a
So,
suggestion.
no,
I just think
no.
it's flavor.
So are they fabulous with Nevada or with Vegas?
No, it's small. I mean, it's small town compared to Vegas, but it's got its own thing. It's not
Okay.
like the whole town
So
dedicated to
when
that.
we're
It's just
looking,
part of it.
alright, so when
But
we're
I mean,
looking at the
something
map, do you mean like? Do
I'm thinking-
you want them relatively close?
To Denver,
Why?
because it's all part of like.
Because here's the thing.
doesn't have-
Would it have been consumed by Denver? I mean, is it just essentially a suburb of Denver?
No, I want it to be like Colorado Springs or like Fort Collins, that they are, they have an independent flavor to it. Now, those are separated because like Colorado Springs is on the other side of the mountains a little bit,
Ridge there. You have a
and
ridge there.
there's a ridge there that keeps it, and Fort Collins is far enough north while
Well, who would
being
want
part
Fort
of,
Collins part of your city?
what?
Nothing.
Anyway, I'm thinking right here, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Go up
I'm thinking right in the middle, like right across the mountains for it. There's a
Right,
sort
yeah,
of
off to the
flat area,
side. So here's crappy Denver.
like down the hill from Breckenridge.
Here's the Elway Heights. And then, yeah, down the way, let's say south of Breckenridge, next to Cloisterville.
So like Harstel, right?
And Schnuckleville.
Right there is a town, Harstel right there. Maybe that town is now a suburb of Fremont in our universe,
I like it.
right? Sulphur Mountain is there on it.
We even
And
have
so
some,
it's all right in the middle of the mountains, and that's what separates it from Denver, but you can get to either one.
is there a waterway? I see some lakes, so that would make more sense. 'Cause most towns are,
Spinny Mountain Reservoir.
there we are.
So yeah, I'm thinking right here.
I like it. Call them up, Hartsel, you're part of our,
We have a question in the chat. Scott Bruckner has joined us. Hey, Scott. Are Colorado taxes halfway decent? They are Actually, I believe they're pretty comparable to Nebraska's. However, Nebraska's suck. So our property tax here is kind of crazy. Colorado's property tax, if I recall, is pretty high.
Yeah, it is.
But there are tax breaks for using it for like agricultural uses and stuff. So it's not like farmers can't make a living there. But they also supplement their taxes with a lot of ways, like marijuana now, and stuff like that. And they have a lot of lottery. There's a lot of lottery poverty in Colorado. But lots of states have that anymore. So, yeah. The taxes are not terrible, but I wouldn't want to pay them. So there's that. I also don't like living. I enjoy visiting Colorado. I have family there. Not my place. Not my place.
Honestly, I riff on Colorado a lot. Fort Collins is one of the more lovely towns.
Yeah. If you can handle the oppressive traffic.
Well, yeah, I mean, like there's not really traffic to our small town life. There is traffic, but the traffic there is relatively. I mean, it's mild compared to any other.
It's just like
town.
if you want to get anywhere on I-25.
Yes, I-25 is a crowd mess.
Yeah.
Mess.
And it didn't used to be so bad.
It's just
It is
bad.
now.
It's just bad. Shit over.
But yeah, so that's what I'm thinking. So we'll get a hold of a topographical map and we've got a location for it.
All right,
And we can start laying it out.
screenshot that and put an X on it.
Yeah, put it right there. This is our
town.
and that's actually gonna be really fun. So as we're looking at laying out the town, did you get a chance to read the document? With all that?
You know, you sent it to me.
I did. I tagged it to you on the drive again. Okay, so I'm gonna go back and unscreen share myself. Stop.
Do you want me to take a print screen of this and then make an X or something?
Oh, no, I'm saying.
Oh, got it.
Here's what I say we do with yours, right? I say we actually take your drawing, right, and just do whatever you want with it.
You want to go to the mountain background? Because
Yeah.
I was thinking.
Yeah, it'll have mountains on 3 sides, the way that's laid out there. So, which is actually much like Denver, because Denver's actually in a bowl, which is why the smog sits over Denver.
Right.
Because it's actually,
yeah. It is.
so Fremont will have a similar haze over it too.
Let me grab it.
Okay, base posture check here, if you guys will check your screens or my page, whichever. I figured that, we could have like exposition or take up like this particular height. Mind you, this is just a really, really rough sketch.
I like the
filled with
buns.
the details. Yeah, he's got buns,
See?
definitely.
Yeah.
Buns of steel.
Staying with the
Yeah.
theme tonight.
Yeah, definitely.
We
Well,
already
anyway,
discussed how much Barry likes booting.
I figure we could put
Try that one home.
like the floor scratch marks right over here. Maybe emphasize that with a little bit of text right here.
Is
when we
he too
get to it.
big? Is that
Maybe.
too big?
Might be a little big for all the other stuff we got having that page.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Well, when you look at this, like our plan was claw marks on the wall.
Right.
So we can easily put that right here.
Okay.
I think you're gonna accentuate each one of these with some little
There's gonna be
dialogue
words,
boxes, right? So like right here, claw marks on the ground, we could have an explanation here, claw marks on the wall, an explanation here. Now on this side, we're having, hey, what's this potato chip bag doing thrown in the corner, knocked over rack over here,
Okay, right.
separated by, put like a little separator here. And then up here, this is where we have like that full scene with the, the register here, or like the counter here, and then the shotgun blast. From the wall.
Wait. So is the angle like this?
Oh, guys.
Are we at this strong of an angle? Or is it?
This
more
is
of
going to
a-
be separated by little boxes.
Okay, so the
like-
boxes are going to be functional within.
Yeah. And
It's
I
gonna
might
break up the.
right,
Okay.
and I might end up
Respect.
making it to where I might like lower these and maybe change around that. Yeah.
Side note, guys, I just found out this little patch of land we're gonna use is called Lake County.
Now, proportionally speaking,
I love it so much.
Why is it?
It's just got a great feel to it.
So
Fremont City and Lake
Reese
County.
is eating cars. He's high now. Just kidding.
There's a very few
There's
carbs.
very few cars. It's greens and
It's
chicken.
broccoli and chicken.
Yeah. So
like
it's good potassium and.
It's very few carbs.
Yeah.
No,
I know.
I did totally eat a cookie.
Aha!
Not even a shake, but not in here. It was actually a cappuccino.
like proportionally speaking, what do you
It's gluten-free
think?
cookie.
Was it based with that sugar on top or M&Ms?
Of course it was. No, it was
Sorry.
the Scotch roots.
Nice. So-
Proportionally speaking, did I get it right?
Yeah.
I think so.
You think? You
Yeah.
think?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Barry likes the bun, so let's just, you know,
That-
I think maybe this should
Wait.
angle down a little bit more,
Wait.
maybe. Quit checking out his ass.
Mhm.
Come on. You haven't
Right.
taken your eyes off of it this entire year.
You don't know.
So-
Yeah, this
uncomfortable,
this
you
should
guys.
angle down a little bit.
It's so uncomfortable, you guys. I just feel really used.
Should this go backwards more?
I don't know.
And should this be loosened out more?
Maybe. Okay, I just wanted to leave a little bit of space for like the actual.
After space.
No, because he'll have a coat on too.
Right,
You know, I'm gonna put that over the top of it.
okay, so. Yeah, it's cool, man.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna change one thing though. I think his leg would actually be coming out like this way.
Yeah,
what I
more
mean?
slant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. Cool, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Let's angle this out a little bit more. So Reese, can you account for your extra readiness today?
My actual what, readiness?
Your extra readiness, yes.
I've been out in the sun quite a bit, actually.
Oh, okay, well,
So-
that makes
I've been
sense.
trying to, I was at the festival in Cheyenne.
This weekend, yeah.
And I got you know, a little bit of a burn when I was out there, not too bad, it's doing better now, but, whenever I get get a lot of sun, it breaks up the psoriasis enough, so
Oh, cool.
it doesn't get as scaly as fast, and it'll actually break it up, so it starts showing the tan underneath it, so,
Alright.
so yeah,
Nice.
I look less scaly than normal today.
So was that a good time?
Yeah,
Shine.
good time. Enjoyed it quite a bit.
Voice anything or go anything or never?
No, they did not, although, I did get a kilt, a new kilt.
Nice.
Thing. It was actually a cool deal. They got a bunch of sport kilts and they did an event called a caber walk, and I'm gonna switch the camera to me to talk about it. And what it was, is we met up at the Pepper Mill Bar there in Cheyenne, and I put $30 on the table, and I got a beer and a shot and a kilt.
Nice.
That's a $65 sports kilt, like the run-of-the-mill one.
So is it, okay, so it's
So I got a half-price kilt and free booze.
nice.
Or I paid a lot for booze
Right.
and got a free kilt.
Either way.
However you look at it.
Yeah.
So that question.
It's a win-win.
So then I went on a 3K hike carrying a caber along with two other guys, with a bunch of guys we swapped off. But yeah, I actually ended up carrying it into the arena. It just worked out that way.
That's cool.
I was in front, and I had my Nebraska Welsh shirt on, which was pretty awesome. And the kilts they gave out were red and green, so it goes with the Welsh flag colors. So I was sporting the land of my fathers. So props to that, while carrying a caber into this thing. I tell you what, I felt 100% Celtic. We were led in by a piper, the whole works, man. It was just singing "Scotland the Brave," and I felt big and burly and proud of my ancestors. So it was a good time, man.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, question. Go ahead.
As like everything nowadays, thing is being inclusive. Not saying that he would, but if someone of Rico's heritage is Hispanic or Mexican.
Yep.
If they want to do the kilt thing, how is that looked upon in the community?
Wearing a kilt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kilt.
So it depends which part of the community you're in, right?
Right.
So the kilt, of course, is a Scottish garment. It was developed by Scots in the mountains as
It went-
walking attire.
Right.
Right?
It was
The mutation,
practical, yeah.
the mutation of the kilt, and it's a little bit of a guesswork, but it's fairly well nailed down. The Scottish people, right, was a merging of four people groups, right?
Okay.
The Irish, who had gone over there in the 5th or 6th century to form a colony from Ireland, right? Those were called the Dal Riata. They were Irish Gaels.
Right. Right.
There were native Brythonic Celts, which were like
Wait.
kins to the Welsh.
Right.
They spoke a language similar to Welsh,
Yeah.
and they were what's called the Old North, which was the
Why is
there was
that?
a northern king. There was a northern kingdom that was a cousin kingdom of the southern Celts back in the time in like the 3rd to 5th century.
Okay.
That's called the Old North in the ancient writings, right? Strathclyde is another name for that, and so those were Brythonic people. The third people were Vikings, right?
Mhm.
And then there were and other Norsemen, and then the fourth people were the English that had come up, and the Angles and Saxons came up. And so those are the four peoples that became the Scottish in the time they were considered Scottish probably around 900. The Kingdom of Scotland was founded. I might be a little wrong on my dates on that, but the kilt wasn't defined until the 1500s, right? That was the first time it was recorded. It was probably started being worn sometime in between there, but it wasn't recorded until the 1500s, right? So brave, right, which is supposed to happen during the beginning of the founding of the Kingdom of Scotland, is when it's set, right? There's tons of, it's a cool movie and I love it, but there's tons of historical inaccuracies in it.
The strife while making that movie is almost historical itself, so that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Well, they stick a ton of stuff in there. There's Arnixes, which they're not dated correctly.
Well, the direction of that was to make cooks in the kitchen.
So, the other part of it was they wanted to capture something that felt Scottish rather than something that was historically accurate.
Well, yeah, it's
an art piece, not a history piece. Yeah.
Exactly. So but they do like to be semi.
Yeah. So I think, as somebody who studied Celtic culture for almost 20 years,
Aeons.
I believe that they did a very good job of capturing something that was culturally accurate, even if it wasn't historically accurate. Does that make sense?
Fair enough.
Okay. So there are some people in Scotland that believe that that kilts are the national dress, and they should only be worn within the confines of the culture as defined by Scotland. So if you aren't a Scot, then there are, that unless you are part of a pipe band singing playing Scottish music, or if you're participating along these things that are specifically Scottish things, then no one else should be wearing the kilt. Okay? That's a minority view anymore,
I would say.
right? And the reason that's a minority view is that because from the end of the 19th century and the beginning of the 20th century, the kilt has been adopted as a pan-Celtic garment. So anybody celebrating Celtic culture is largely welcome to wear the kilt in solidarity with the people of Scotland.
Okay, that's cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Because one of the things is that the kilt was, so in the 1500s, the kilt was written down as a thing. Actually, probably the late 1400s. It was written down as being a thing, as being a Scottish thing. And what it was written down at was by Irish historians who were commenting on these Scottish troops that were coming over to assist Ireland in a series of military conflicts. And they're dressed funny and they talk funny, and we can kind of understand them, but the language had mutated enough by the separation that they did not have a common language anymore. Scots Gaelic and Irish Gaelic were separate enough that they were mutually intelligible, but they became like Spanish and Portuguese.
Right.
Where there are words in common, but it's not the same language anymore. And that's the first time it's written about. And the Scots were wearing kilts, these man skirts that were different from the Irish and their trousers. And so they were commented about that. Okay, so, but shortly after that, around 100 and 150 years later, were after the Acts of Union, were what was called the, I can't remember what it's called.
The Akbar treaties?
No, there was a law that was passed, and I can't remember the name of it, but it outlawed the wearing of Highland garb because it was seen to be a sign of rebellion against the king.
I would say, yeah.
And so kilts, tartans couldn't be worn by soldiers. Scots weren't allowed to be armed with firearms.
Right.
They could have small arms to protect themselves, but claymores were made illegal. They couldn't train military tactics unless they were in the military. And that was the time when Scots, like the Highland regiments, those military orders started being founded. And Highland garb was allowed for military units and for pipers because they were trying to get these warlike Scots into the service of the king. And they said, look, you guys can practice your culture as long as you're killing who we tell you to kill and you're not killing us, right? But the Highland regiments were not exclusive to just Highlanders, and so other people in the British Isles signed up for them. So there were Irishmen that served in those regiments and everything else. And through the military service, the bagpipers, which was a part of Irish war culture and a part to a smaller extent of other parts of the British Isles, although piping largely died down through their various actions in other places. Like there were medieval Welsh pipers and Cornish pipers, but in the Renaissance period stuff, they were far less common. And so anyway, back to what I was talking about. Hang on a second, I gotta get my thoughts together. So in Ireland, the Irish pipers were also wore kilts, although many of the soldiers didn't. But thank you, Marmaduke fan. He's coming in, he's sharing the stream. I appreciate that.
Thank you much, man.
So anyway, with that, because the pipes were associated with the Celtic nations, and because the kilt was associated to the military, to the pipers, during the late 1800s, kilts became, and the early 1900s, kilts became associated with the Celtic revival that was happening at the same time of the Welsh language, and the people that first started grieving the loss of the Cornish language that had just been documented, and all that kind of stuff. And so because of that, the kilt is seen as a sign of solidarity to anybody celebrating Celtic culture. And actually, one of the things that's really interesting is like Highland games are not restricted to anybody. And like
Is it cool?
games,
Is it fun? Is it cool?
Oh yeah,
You know,
I mean it's men and women throwing big stuff around.
Right.
No,
Right. But, you know,
in fact, here in Scotts Bluff in 3 weeks on Sunday, our Celtic gatherers, we're going to be having a games exhibition, and anybody who wants to come check it out is welcome to come on down. We're going to be having some experienced athletes to show people the ropes. We're going to have implements. We're going to be throwing height over bar and all kinds of stuff. It's going to be fun.
You guys going to do the what do you call it? The log toss thing?
The caber. I don't know if we're going to have a caber or not. I just don't know, because they're hard to come by. They're 15 to 20 feet long. Yeah. Also hauling them. I mean, they've got a bunch from Cheyenne, but getting them here, that's a tough thing, right? So if Rico wanted to join a pipe band or do the Highland Games or even just learn how to like dance a jig, nobody's going to look on him funny, because it's all about sharing culture and the culture of our ancestors. Anybody who appreciates it. Right. Now, the other thing that's interesting, I don't know, like Rico's family came here from Mexico, but some of them may have come to Mexico from Spain.
Actually,
I don't know if any of them did or not.
Actually, my family lived in Texas since it belonged to Mexico. Yeah. So
the
United
Even
States,
worse.
So the United
States basically came to that.
That happened, actually funny, that happened to Hiram Scott's family too.
Oh, really?
During the Louisiana Purchase, they were living on French land.
On French land.
They were Irish that had supported France during the War of the Grand Alliance. And so they said, man, things are getting hot here under the crown because we went against the king. Can you help us out here, King of France? And the King of France said, sure, I have a bunch of land near Louisiana. But it was what is today Missouri, St. Charles County.
Right.
So the Scott family set up there, and then the Louisiana Purchase bought them out, and they're all Americans.
Right.
And then generations later, Hiram Scott came out here and died. and so that same thing happened there. So, but I know I have some friends who their family are all like mom's side are European Mexican and dad's side are Indian Mexican, and like her dad's family is not European at all. I mean, like they lived on a secluded place in Mexico where like nobody had gone for generations, and then dad was just like, or dad's grandparents were like, I'm out of here. So we're going to America, and so they came north and set up their family here, and then generations later, my friends were born, right? So I don't know what Rico's story that far back is.
Well, Well, I mean, from what I understand, family history wise, my dad probably has more European roots than my mom does, because like there's a very, very distinct, Indian, like an Indian presence, like Texas Indian, I mean, for like generations. I mean, still, I have like a huge amount of family, in Texas, so like on my mom's side of the family, that's where all of my relatives are focused.
As far back as anyone knows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then my dad's side of the family was just really just right across the border in Chihuahua.
Mhm.
So like geographically we're from
Right.
the area,
Yeah.
But it's like where it differs is that my dad's grandmother was a Polish nun who left her convent because she fell in love with my great grandpa Kobos. So it's
Grandpa Kobo.
yeah. So, but she was actually half Polish, half Italian. Her name was Apollonia Peretti.
That is a hell of a story.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So she her family immigrated to Mexico, as part of mission, just to be part of the Catholic Church over there in Mexico and spread the word. Because I guess at that time there was like some Polish immigrants that were making their way over here, and so she met my grandpa, and the next thing you know, so my grandpa Kobos looks actually strikingly Italian.
Yeah.
Like we joke that he looks like Robert De Niro. Although my grandma, Cynthia Gonzalez, is very, very Indian. So it's kind of funny. But yeah, so family history.
Oh yeah, I love it. The reason I bring up the Mexico thing, right, is that there's a lot of Spanish influence.
Right. Well, yeah.
One of the peoples that make up the Spanish, actually, kind of two of the peoples, the Galicians and Asturians, right? They're just a mix of people, but one of the things in the mix are the ancient Galicians, who were a Celtic people that spoke a Celtic language up until like the 3rd century AD, right? Maybe later, in fact, depending on the historian you look at. So there are, and there is a shared mythology between Galicia and Spain, Galicia and Ireland. The Irish legends from the Middle Ages about the invasions, the legends of invasions. One of the groups of invaders that came to populate Ireland was said to have come from Galicia in the old Irish records. And so there are legends that are in common. There are phrases that are common. There are dishes that are in common. There are ways of life, ways of building houses in the Middle Ages were very similar between Cornwall and Wales and Galicia, right? There's lots of commonality in that, and there is a contingent of Galicians today that celebrate Celtic culture as part of it. Another language is very Romanized, and so they're not considered one of the under the Celtic Congress, which is very lingual focused, right?
Okay.
But there's a lot of shared tradition between Spain and the rest of it. In fact, one of the really interesting traditions, European traditions dating back to the Middle Ages, is the Camino de Santiago, right? And the Camino de Santiago was a pilgrimage that went from the tip of France, from Celtic Brittany, right, Breton, France, across the coastline and across northern Spain to the Compostela de Santiago in Galicia, right? And so that was a traditional Catholic thing, pilgrimage that some scholars believe actually have root to pre-Christian times of people following the seasons and paying homage to all of that. So it's just there's a really cool stuff in that. So
I got way off track.
Yeah, way off track.
Okay.
But one final note about this relates to our area specifically. There are a lot of castros here. A castro is the Spanish word for a hill fort, right? Or in Welsh they call them castles, right? And it's a cognate to the word castle that we have in English.
Right.
And the Celtic hill forts and Spanish castros are remarkably the same in their structure, as far as the way they lay buildings out, the shape of the buildings, and all that kind of stuff. And it's looked at as one of those holdovers from pre-Roman Galicia, is a structure of these castros. And castro, the name itself, is a phonetic cognate with the name for the same structure in Wales. So just to throw that out there, a lot of castros are from northern Spain, Asturias and Galicia, and very likely share some history and culture, whether genetically or just in terms of lifestyle, with the British Isles folks.
Are their phonics pretty close to you also at times?
Their phonics are different because of the Romans, because of the Romans.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly. There are similarities. I mean, it's all Indo-European, so there's
Right, which is
and-
amazing.
and-
I mean, it's so rich.
and like
All
I
right,
mean,
so
so yeah.
we've lost time. But so in summary, so me and Rico could kick on a kilt and get drunk and pass out.
Yep. And there are lots of tartans that are considered to be open to anyone, regardless of heritage. There are some that are made for fashion. I mean, mine are
Because
that way.
I think
And of course,
you
America has a
always
lot of
always find groups that are like more, hey, this is our stuff. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, and you would find that on any
In any culture.
culture.
one of the best
But I just want to know
one of the best bagpipe drummers I've ever heard is with the Denver district and Denver city and district pipe band, and he's like straight out of Juarez. I mean, and he's an amazing drummer. And I don't know where he's actually from, but I mean he's dark complected. I mean everything.
I got you.
So
That's cool.
and there was a dancer who used to compete down in the Colorado circuit for a while, and dad's Japanese, mom's Irish.
Wow.
Oh, well.
That's
And
why
she
she
was-
was looking.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
But and great dancer too.
It's nice.
So there's no anybody who appreciates the culture and is interested in it, join in. I mean, it's just like,
I can imagine a lot of it has to do with like the spirit in which it's done. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
sure.
It's
I mean,
like,
you join in, you be part of it.
Yeah.
You respect what you're doing. I think
because I've seen like, for instance, like white girls wanting to participate in like what the Guadalupana dancers
Oh,
are
yeah.
doing, like that tradition
That's-
Mexican.
Yep.
you
That's
know,
pretty cool.
and it's like, they're totally cool with it because like they had like a workshop to where, they show you some of the basic
And they
steps. It's like,
respect it. They did it. They knew it. That's cool. That's what that's
Well,
honestly, that's always what the road has been, like
Yeah.
the road, like things grow and things overlap. And nowadays, it's always like, oh, look at, people want to draw attention to, so before it was, I'm so hip to this, and now it's, I'm so woke to this, there's always been different things. But
Well, I mean,
it's always great
right,
to celebrate
like
differences and have that shit going on.
Mexican mariachi music,
Right.
right, is an adaptation of German polka music. Like, I mean, it's not only that, but I mean, that's where a lot of its base comes from.
Well, it's what's funny is that cultures borrow from each other.
Exactly.
Like
all of
when German immigrants came to Mexico, you have a lot of the 3/4 time, the German
Yeah,
waltz.
yeah.
The accordions came from Germany, but then from Spain they have like the guitars. So like there's something distinctly Mexican and like like the big guitars and like the accordion and it becomes Mexican music. But it
that's
came,
romanticized.
but it came from Germany, in the sense that the bass came from Germany because the immigrants came and they were awfully impressed with the sounds that they had, and so took it upon themselves. But then what a lot of people don't realize is that Western cowboy culture comes directly from Mexico.
A lot of it does.
Like
Well, yeah.
country Western music,
Yes.
like
That's where the influences came from. That's where it was born.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's a lot of the difference between country music and Western music in the old days. A lot of Western music has more of that Mexican Argentinian influence, and country music has had that Appalachian Celtic root.
Yeah.
And so those two of them merge into something else, because like a lot of Appalachian music is right off from the mines, right off the ships.
So like when you look at take for instance, El Rodeo, the rodeo.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. The word barbecue came from barbacoa. The whole the way like the cowboys yip and holler and stuff like
Right
that.
now, yeah,
It's very Mexican. And also, God, what else was like? For instance, the word buckaroo.
Nice. Hey, thank you, Mark. We appreciate it.
That's vaquero. Buckaroo.
Well, and I think actually that's an interesting one too, because like a.
Oh, he likes what I'm doing?
Yeah, I'm not sure what he said was nice.
I don't know. I mean, it might have been the buns, because I'm down with that. Too.
Yeah, the buns are.
But no, one of the things, like the other thing is I've wondered about the word buckaroo too.
We are so
because
like
bucko,
yeah,
like it was a common slang term in British culture. I'm pretty sure that comes from buchael, which means young boy. It's an Irish word.
Like vaquero though means like literally cowman. A vaquero.
Yeah,
so like buckaroo.
I wonder how much. I wonder like those things.
Maybe they merged. Who knows?
Like both of them, right? Because like a lot of cowboys. There's a lot of Irishmen that became cowboys when they came over because the jobs were there. Southern Welsh had a cow herding culture that was very similar to the roundups and the long drives.
Mm-hmm.
Welsh drovers were doing that since the Middle Ages. So I think a lot of those things. And then there's the other thing that's really interesting is if you look at horseman cultures across Western Europe,
mm-hmm.
from the chevals in France to the knights in England to the I don't remember what the Spanish was, but
no, you mean the caballeros?
Yeah. The Cavaliers, the French Cavaliers. They all have the common threads of these things that which is probably why they all got together fairly well during the Crusades.
Probably.
And they borrow things back and forth, and I think it's just fascinating to see how I think in a lot of ways like culture separated through history and then came back together in the New World.
Yeah.
These things that like in ancient history like separated and became different, and then we get over here and then we're one again.
Well, it's like you think about people always people are talking about skin color. Shit, if we don't fuck things up now, which is very high possible, but like 200 years, there will be differences, but there'll be some very beautiful similarities.
And that's like you look at red hair, right? People said like a decade ago there was all these news articles that red hair is going to disappear because it's a freak mutation, and as people marry together. It's going, but they find out that it buries itself, the red hair mutation, which maybe it is, whatever, but it buries itself into the genes and then it just pops up.
Yep.
And so every several generations, or every several years, there's this explosion of ginger babies all over the place.
Well, there's
come back.
They
carry it, people carry it regardless of where they're from, right? If you've ever had a ginger in your family, it's hiding there somewhere.
Red hair is actually, believe it or not, it's actually a trait of my family too.
Yeah.
When I was a teenager. Yeah.
Yellow and blonde and
when I was a teenager, I had red streaks in my hair.
Oh wow!
But it was long, and then my beard was mostly red. You can still see hints of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's all turned gray, but
what is now a white patch. If I grow my hair out a little bit, I have an evil white patch here. But before, in the summertime, it goes blonde. My hair was black like yours.
Yeah. Well, it was so strange though. Like my Aunt Rebecca, from my dad's side, she had a full head of red hair.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We have there's red in my beard still, but it's possible. Yeah, my hair is mostly like my brother's hair is more like grease, some red and yellow in it, but blue eyes. But yeah, I got it dark.
Well, that's one of those things. I mean, like we're all one people, right? I mean, I love that. Like all cultures have different flavors, and I think that's good to add and to understand.
Right.
But because we're all one people, we can learn from each other, right? We can find these commonalities, and we can say, "Oh, I understand this because of this, and that makes my life richer because I have this in common with somebody that I didn't think I'd have anything in common with because their family or their upbringing is so different."
That's how you grow. That's how you leave the safety of wherever and go find someone else who's like you out there. Well, it's crazy enough, but it is there are similarities. You always have. That's how people expand and grow. And
And thank God it works that way, because wouldn't it be terrible to only be surrounded by people like you?
I know, I'm sorry.
I mean, I like me, but I don't like me so much that I would want to be that at the exclusion of anything else. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, I don't know. I've always done my best to have, you know, friends of, you know, just friends of, you know, all walks of life, you know, not only, you know, different races, but, you know, people with different socioeconomic backgrounds, or, you know, just, it just adds spice to life.
It does, absolutely.
Like, and, you know, I'm fascinated by, you know, like, I'm really proud of my daughter, you know, because she is just fascinated by other cultures, in the sense that, like, she kind of shocked me today, because she was showing me how she can write some hiragana, you know, like, saying, oh, that is totally cool. You know, it's like, yeah, because like I did some Japanese writing in the past, where I did some katakana, I did my name and stuff like that, and like forget learning kanji, you know. But it's like I just like her attitude. She's really curious about, you know, what other people are doing.
Well,
You know?
speaking of which, this is interesting. So my kid is doing a report, right? He's doing it, and what it is it's a comparison and a study of Celtic folklore and ancient Celtic warrior culture from the legends, and comparing that with Bushido and the stuff he's learning in his Bushidokan class.
There's bound to be some crossover.
Yeah, and find out where those commonalities and you know, and there's crossover there is crossover, but it's not in a shared history, because these cultures never met.
Never at all.
Right? So
Well, I mean,
it's a situation of people finding
when the Dutch started going over it.
Yeah.
You know,
oh yeah.
that was centuries.
Right, that's what I'm talking about. Like, all of the Welsh legends were written down by like the 14th century, the latest, any of them, right? The Welsh and Irish legends were all written by then. A lot of them were written down in the 900s, right? So the thing is, when there's commonalities, it's because we're finding things that work. Like there's intersections between Cornish wrestling and judo, because there's only so many ways to grab an arm, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the body works. You know,
the body works in a way, and everybody's body's got the same joints.
You know,
So.
the Da Vinci diagrams,
Exactly.
and everything.
And so there's things like that, and then there's fact that, you know, like certain, you know, like warrior cultures are warrior cultures because they've survived the war, and these are the things it takes to survive war. And so there are common threads in all of that. There's differences, of course, because of everything else and beliefs about what makes the world and what makes a warrior.
Right.
But there's still a commonality, and so I find it fascinating. He just came up with that on his own.
That's
You know,
cool.
he's been studying martial arts for several years. Donovan. Yeah.
Maybe he'll be interested in this after I'm done with all of borrow.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will.
Trust me.
Yeah. So
Oh, who knows? Maybe they'll join us someday for jits. What do you think, Barry?
What's that?
Yeah, Barry's got me all fired up for jujitsu. Yeah.
Yes.
Which you know, in itself, you know, we talk about, you know, cultures borrowing from each other. Well, you know, jujitsu, of course, came from Japan. You know, although there are documented roots that you can trace back to China, and there's documented roots that you can change back to exercises that you know the Brahmins, you know, train their sons in India. You know, I mean, it's just a long line. You know, well, what's so funny is that Japanese jiu-jitsu looks so different from the Brazilian version. Okay, because like Japanese jiu-jitsu, the way they designed their jiu-jitsu was training for the battlefield. You know, so if you notice, if you look at judo, for instance, which is a variation of jiu-jitsu.
it's been toned down and safeified.
Yeah. But what's so interesting about that martial art is that it's, you know, if you notice, like what's valued in judo is the takedown and the pin. Because on the battlefield, you take a man down, pin him to the ground, while another man comes and stabs him with a spear. So the ability just to hold a man down long enough for him to be killed, you know, was the whole, you know, practical use of it all.
Yep.
Flash forward to the Brazilians. Okay, what the Brazilians wanted to do was to win street fights. Now, there's no one carrying spears in street fights. You know, it was usually man on man.
Right.
So they took these techniques and they realized that, you know, maybe only half of these moves are practical on the street. And so it was just so brilliant of like Helio Gracie and his brothers and then his sons after him, whereas that they modified all those techniques so that each one was perfectly efficient in a street fight. And so these days, all MMA, I don't care, any MMA fighter worth his salt, knows Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, or at least understands the structure of it. If they don't, they're not going to last very long. So culture is borrowing from other cultures. And who knows what martial technique we'll see in the future.
No, I think it's fascinating. And of course, coming back to the comics, I know I've given you guys some time to work with all of my going on about culture. Although I haven't gotten any writing done, so that's great. But one of the things that I think is great about it is that it's tying it back to comics is that's a lot of what we've done in Ideal with our world building, right? And for you patrons, you can check out our 2. We'll talk more about that. But one of the things we've done in our world building for Ideal Comics is I intentionally wanted to add the idea of cultures separating and building structure and then that coming back together, right? And so we've got these worlds and we've got these histories and we've got these gods and these demigods and these characters that are peppered throughout our history, these monsters and everything else that are peppered throughout our paranormal history that are an homage to the real world tendencies, right?
Yeah.
And all of that. And so, man, we in fact, a little teaser for anybody listening, Rico and I, one of our next projects after we finish the volumes of Vox Populi, we have got a secret little thing in the can that is going to be a love letter to love letter to
unexpected, completely unexpected.
Completely unexpected. We discovered it 2 weeks ago. A little love letter to Mexico, and man,
the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be something else. No revelations beyond that yet.
Let's just say that. But
it is. I spent half my growing up in Oklahoma and half of it here, and so I've met lots of folks, Mexican American thing. They've shared their culture with me, and there's a lot of beauty in that. And I'm so excited to work on a project to give a little love on that.
This is going to be really, really interesting.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun.
Yeah.
Tearing up just thinking about it. I'm serious. Like that sounds sappy or whatever, but I'm telling you guys, this story is gonna be just it's gonna be everything.
And it was like when we were talking, it's funny, like it all started with like a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about it on the phone, and the next thing you know, in like a 5-minute conversation, we were like writing this whole background,
Yeah, it's gonna be
there's just a lot of layers to it.
a lot of layers. Yeah, this is not to take away from what we believe Vox Populi is going to be, which is still a very important and impactful superhero story. And I love what it is. But you guys, stay tuned. In fact, if that sounds intriguing to you, throw a little money at Vox Populi so you can get this.
That's right.
That's part of the dream, right? We want to get you guys comics. We want to get you not just this comic though, right? We want to get you the one after that, the one after that. And so, seed money for the comic machine, right? That's what I'm saying.
Speaking of comics, taking a look to the second incarnation of this drawing here. I think it's starting to take shape. Although I'm seeing a couple things that I could probably fix up here. What do you guys think?
Looking because Reese's on screen right now.
Well, I won't be in a second. I just switched it.
Oh.
There
Okay. Also, chat. It's been about an hour. Oh, sorry. I was going to say, chat. It's been about an hour.
Thank God.
Hour 2. No, we actually have talked about a lot of stuff, but we're going to stay on for a little while longer. We're going to talk about Fremont City a little more. But we are going to go ahead and jump off here in 5 minutes or so. I know, right? It's been a fast hour. To go ahead and go exclusive to patrons. So if you guys will have questions for us, make sure you shoot them to us, and spread the love also. So give us a like if you like us. If you hate us, let us know. Both barrels. I want to hear it, man. I got some yesterday, and I just feel invigorated off the hatred. It's not true. I'm
It
joking.
happens all the time.
I'm joking. But okay, you guys keep talking, and I'm gonna load up the other thing up.
So Rico,
Yo, what's up?
I have one complaint.
Okay, what's a complaint?
It needs more steel.
More steel? Are you out of your mind?
More. This is a joke. I don't know.
Oh, buns of steel. You know, I think I made.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think I made the leg too big now that I'm looking at it.
All right.
But I think I'm gonna try to fix it. Buns.
Oh, it's bums. Yes.
Ja, dos buns. Ja.
Bun.
Buns and thighs, yeah.
Ja.
So what do you think, Barry?
Yeah.
Yeah, buns and thighs.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so rather than, see, I'm gonna make sure we're sharing you.
Excellent.
You like it?
Yeah, it looks good.
Sweet. I just have to figure out how the rest of it. So detail, but like detail primarily in the thing that we're supposed to be focusing
Exactly.
on. Okay.
Exactly.
So all right. So
Efficiency, man. Efficiency.
I once, you know what? We can even do detail and I'll just highlight them and then do the blow through. So I will.
but you
watch-
don't. But yeah. We just don't want to. What is it like? We just don't want to distract.
From distracting. Don't want to be cluttery.
No, it'll be all right. So imagine like have you seen those imagine like the glow, the dark like screen, right?
Yeah.
So like a box. It goes in dark. I'll make it bright yellow and I'll dim it down lower than everything else.
I do also, don't forget the purple flashlight glow.
F the flashlight
No,
glow.
it's important because it's part of the last clue is there's no blood here. So we gotta have the
That's
infrared
right.
thing.
I mean, I don't-
Yeah.
Purple
Okay,
flashlight.
so here we go.
Purple flashlight glow.
Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna read the essay on Fremont City. Okay, are you guys ready? Keep in your mind as you're doing your drawing, think about this. This is canon. In the 1860s and 1870s, Fremont City, Colorado was a stereotypical Western town with dirt streets and facade front building. Located equidistant between Denver and the future site of Colorado Springs, there was a gambling hall and a saloon, a general store, and a livery stable. But there was one marked difference. All of the citizens of Fremont were women. Prostitutes, in fact. A failed and abandoned mining town, Fremont was repopulated by the purveyors of the oldest occupation in 1857. By 1863, these women, who serviced passing cowboys and outlaws and wandering prospectors and shepherds in the nearby hills. Man, I got too many ands in there.
Yeah, let's say that. I like
Had begun administrating their town and turned it into a fully profitable venture, with all of the businesses being self-sustaining. This led to the unique situation where you could have your horse shoed and arrange for warmth for the night in a single monetary transaction. Even the sheriff was a woman with a gun.
I like
It doesn't say that, but that's how sheriffs get respect.
Right.
Because government action is violence, people. Let's not forget that. Everything the government does is with a threat of death hanging over it. Okay, moving on. Abigail Northcutt and her family immigrated from Liverpool, England when she was 11 when her parents were killed falling overboard in a squall just outside of Boston Harbor. The ship's captain sold Northcutt to a Boston man for whom she worked until she was 20. She was amongst the first group to move to Fremont in 57. There were 3 large immigrations, and shortly became the preferred provider for U.S. Marshal Matthew Dodge. He taught her to shoot and the tricks of the trade, and Northcutt was elected sheriff in Fremont City. She was also the de facto mayor, as the other women all looked to her for guidance and advice. And she set forward policies enacted by consensus to regulate prices and practices for general business and for the more specialized trade. Northcutt worked with both sheriff and prostitute until 1867, when Matt Dodge, having had his hip shot out and forced to retire, asked her to marry him. The two wed, and Abigail remained sheriff until her death in 1900. Everything in Fremont changed in 1870. Citizen Clara Wilson, having been left in the will of the client, discovered gold in the hills of her land. This kicked off Colorado's second largest gold rush as prospectors raced down from the mountains. A railroad was built into Fremont and scores of men were shipped down to work in the new mines. In 72, oil was found near Fremont, and with that, another shipment of men. This massive influx of men began to upset the status quo. While prostitutes were initially vastly busier, as time went by, more and more of them retired to marriage. And after all, with what new people to shop at the businesses, many of the women realized they would rather just sell things. The farmers from the outlying areas were also, for the first time, really included in town, and Fremont began to boom. In 1943, Kent Fergus, an investor from Philadelphia, petitioned the Colorado legislature to obtain permission to build a casino on the outskirts of Fremont. The Lucky Charms first finished construction in 1948 and was the first of 12 casino hotels that today make up the section of city folks call Lucky Street. Lucky Street is also one area of town where prostitution is still legal. Today, Fremont City is largely clean and safe. In its financial center, a manufacturing hub, it is a financial center, a manufacturing hub, and a commercial crossroads. It is a friendly town with much for one to see and do. The Fremont Art Museum is one of the finest in Western states, and is of course the cause for a massive feud with its Denver counterpart. There is also a strong theater community, both professional and amateur. The Wonder World Amusement Park, which opened in '66, is home to 2 historically significant rides. The Ferris wheel is the highest in all Colorado, and the Great Oz, which the museum was built around, is the largest and oldest wooden frame roller coaster in the whole of the High Plains. Downtown was originally built over Main Street, and the original timber frames being incorporated into the structures. The structure and design of 14 of the city-sized skyscrapers.
Yeah.
The original timber frames being incorporated into the structure and design of 14 of the city's skyscrapers. Of course, most of them housing businesses. The livery stable is now a bank, while the original bank is now a bar and grill, First Federal. The Trail Boss Tavern still remains, however, and is one of the higher-end bars in town. One thing specific to Fremont is the Museum of the West, which is dedicated to the pioneers, railroadmen, cowboys, and prospectors that took the wilderness and turned it into home. The museum is also home to a perpetual exhibit, the Women of the Range, which discusses frankly and unapologetically the issues with sex and politics of women, Indian and white, wives and prostitutes in the vast heartless prairie. The vast heartless prairie. I love that phrase. Okay. Other sites of interest include the Reinhardt Brewery, which tours start hourly, and although everyone has seen photos of it, visitors must see in person the 50-foot granite sculpture Survival in City Square, hewn by immigrant French sculptor Jean Bastille. It sits in Monument Park and separates City Hall from Central Police Station.
Since where it's positioned, I was drawing this in the mountains.
Yes.
I was drawing trees somewhat invading the city.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that would make perfect sense. Because I mean, that flat area that we saw on the map, I mean, the mountain's right up against it, and there's one point of access to the south that's flat. I mean, there's roads coming from the mountains at various places, but there's going to have to be. I mean, for Fremont to be this kind of size of city we're talking about, there have probably been tunnels that are drilled into stuff and all kinds of things.
So like,
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we have. That's canon in the city. So as you're drawing it, right, based upon the thing,
or is it over? Gotcha.
we have whores everywhere. No, just on Lucky Street. The only whores on Lucky Street, which is not just one street; it's a district.
Whores.
Where is it?
Whores.
Cooking.
Whores of King, which also
So what do you guys think?
we actually reference this history in our forces story.
Lowered the cap a little bit,
Yeah,
I like it.
something like this.
Yep, looks good.
Should I put something on this sign here or just like,
Do it. Whatever.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think that's enough. I think that
I'm
works.
gonna grab some more.
Well, what kind of sign would you say? you'd see on a convenience store.
We'll make an ad for one of our products. Zesto Cola.
Zesto Cola.
That sounds, we don't want Zesto, we need something else, some better cola line.
Well, it's gonna be the bottom of the sign.
Think of the Whoopie Burger ad.
Like a Whoopie burger.
Shake
No.
cheese.
That would be funny. But at the 24/7 mark? I don't know.
Okay, I don't care if it makes sense, I just want it.
Yeah. I'll think of something.
So.
I'll just put like a
in
generic,
a little note here. Let me
I'll
find the
put
thing.
like a generic 50-cent off sign or something.
So back in the day, we had a forces page, right? It's in the story of National Villainy, where Chick Greg and the boys go on a road trip to Fremont to go to a big national villainy competition. And so the guys enter Fremont. In fact, let me see if I can find a way to share that with the screen. I don't know if I can do it or not. We'll see here. Screen share, entire screen, share. And then minimize that. Oh, wait. We'll see if it does it here in a second. I know it's real exciting radio for those that are listening. Just waiting to see if the thing works. Okay, it's up there. So if you can see, in it, we've got.
Are you ready to rock?
Yes. Okay. So here we've got a off Fremont City, and we've got the bus rolls into town, welcome to Fremont City. And Chad and Greg's up front says, "Welcome to Fremont City, home of the Gamesmen, Ninja Jones, and the High Plains Drifters." Those are all superheroes in our universe.
Oh my
And then Lenny says, "And whores." Lenny, what? It's all history. It's in this book I've been reading, The Dastardly Bastardly Wild West. There were whores here, whores far as the eye could see. Honestly, the town was run by whores. It was a haven for lowly miners. Then Tattoo says, "Lenny, you're a sad, strange little man." Huh. Haters gonna hate. Haters gonna hate. And he replies, and the name of the page is Haters Gonna Hate History. So we actually referenced that in the thing. And we intentionally weren't trying to just be edgy with it. I mean, that definitely was part of the story with it, but we just wanted it to have a we thought it gave it a flavor, especially looking at what Vegas was and how that worked out.
Yeah.
It was a much later 1930s West thing. We wanted to go ahead and take a look at that in kind of the rough and tumble of what frontier Colorado was like. The other reason is it's a subtle dig against Colorado in its history. Because the reason Colorado has the shape it has was because the other states around Colorado intentionally didn't want to be associated with Denver and the crime and the prostitution and everything that was in there. And Colorado, when it made a bid for statehood, wanted to be enormous. Like all of southern Wyoming, the panhandle of Nebraska, western Kansas, they wanted all of it to be part of Colorado. And the people in the rest of the prairie said, "Screw you guys." So they all rushed their application for statehood in, and with petitions and said, "We are not those people. Keep them away from us. The line stops here." That's why Nebraska's got a weird shape,
Right.
because those are the people that were just like, "Get away from me." Like it went back when the country was first being laid out for expansion. The intention was to have every state be so big that as they got further west and added new states, they'd all be roughly the same size.
Right.
And that's why there's so many oblong, top to bottom states that are, Oklahoma fits in the same size, top to bottom, although it's got a panhandle. Kansas, Iowa, they're all north to south, the same size. And that was encouraged by I believe it was the Northwest Ordinance. Actually encouraged that, the sizes. And Nebraska was like keep us away from Colorado. Kansas was keep us away from, and Wyoming was like,
F that.
yeah. And that was actually, in fact, Wyoming, to do this, Wyoming passed. Sorry, what?
Do you know what I have, guys?
Okay. Me, I gotta change up my screen here.
I'm not done. This is layout, of course, but we're getting there.
Okay, where are we?
I don't see your screen sharing there, Barry.
I see a pretty face.
Yeah, I see your icon.
Yeah, I can see
Good.
your icon showing.
Yeah. But anyway, while he's doing that,
Okay.
Wyoming actually passed the Equality Act to allow women to have the vote so they can have the proper number of individual citizens to become a state. That was how bad they didn't want to be part of Colorado. And they got like hundreds of, like thousands of women to sign on, which like the franchise is a big deal. Like only a third of women wanted the franchise in the country when they got it. But Wyoming already had it because they were like, how many of you women want to be associated with Denver? And they were like, not me.
I'll pass.
Okay, you guys want to vote? Is that what we want to do with this?
Bugging out.
It is doing a little weird. Very, well, I tell you what, guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut the stream off. Guys in the chat, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I think it's maybe just one person now, I don't know. But we are going to go out there and we're going to relaunch just for the patrons. So thank you very much for tuning in. If you are a patron, make sure to check out our Patreon, and it's going to be up there in a second. So have a good night, folks, and keep reading comics and check back with us. So also, last note, those of you who follow Matriarchy, it's an all Lone Wolf show for this Thursday. So
Nice.
we're gonna get some different creators from the Lone Wolf, Legend Lone Wolf, to come on and talk about it. It'll be great.